Thank you for joining us for another episode of All About PR. I'm your host Tarunjit Ratan, and today we speak to Dionne Taylor and Diane Eichler, founders of PR Loop, an innovative new platform that aims to transform the PR industry. So let's start. Thank you for joining us for an episode of All About PR. Today we speak to Dionne Taylor and Diane Eichler, founders of PR Loop, an innovative new app that aims to transform the PR industry. So let's add them on. Hi.
Hi, Taranjeet. How are you?
I'm good. How are you doing?
Good, thank you. Thanks for having us on your show.
Hey.
Hi. Thank you.
Thank you for joining us. I'm sure, these are crazy timings, but thank you for making this possible and joining us at convenient times across continents. So, before we start, I do understand that both of you are PR entrepreneurs and run your own agencies and have collaborated specifically for this new venture. So before we start, can you share a little bit about your existing roles in your current agency? Dionne, why don't you go?
Yeah, okay. So thanks, Taranjeet. So my primary business, and I'm based in Sydney, Australia, is called Polka Dot Communications. And I've had the company for nearly 15 years. We look after a whole range of clients across multiple industry sectors. So we've got from finance, professional services, food, health, pets, tech, fitness, beauty, travel, you name it. So our primary job is to raise awareness for our clients and find that interesting story that they have that we can share across media and use earned media as our channel to raise awareness. So I've been doing that for, like I said, 15 years, and I'm still doing it. So I've got a team which is boutique in size. I love it that way, and we retain clients year on year.
Awesome. Diane, what about you?
Yeah, we're very, very similar to Dionne, which you'll learn as we go through our podcast, some of the similarities and why we came together. Our agency, Decibel Blue, we are based in Denver, Colorado, and we're celebrating our 15th year in November. So just a few weeks away. And like Dionne, we are very much a boutique agency, and we deal mostly with real estate and lifestyle clients across the United States. So everything from Dunkin' Donuts to massage companies to franchise concepts, and then multifamily housing, real estate brokerages, and things, and developers. So that's kind of the bulk of our business.
Awesome. So let's come to the loop, right? So what is the PR loop for the benefit of our listeners? If you can help us understand first, what is the PR loop?
The PR Loop, it's a website desktop platform. It's an online membership community, and it's built for in-house and agency PR professionals. And we've also built it for journalists. And the reason why we've done this is because we want them to save time, deliver great value for their clients, and connect in an efficient way. It's an opportunity for anyone in the media industry in the USA to engage, to exchange knowledge, and to work within at their current state or states that they want to expand into. So that's in a nutshell what the PR Loop is.
Yeah, one of the things that I was going to say is being in the United States, being a boutique agency in the United States and working from the center of the United States. One of the things that we're finding in our industry is that even though we are very local based, a lot of our clients are needing smaller boutique agencies to work on a national level, which is always difficult when you don't have the resources, connections in other cities around the country. And, specific to the United States, which is very similar to some of the other larger countries, some of our cities are as big as countries. So being able to cover that work is becoming increasingly difficult. And so we created the Loop as a collaboration platform for PR pros and journalists to be able to transact that work much more seamlessly at a better cost effectiveness for both the agency and ultimately for the client. And so we realized the need and said, we are going to find and create a collaboration platform that works for everybody.
Interesting. But what does it mean for a PR professional if, let's say, or a journalist for that matter, let's say if I as a PR professional were to, take up a membership with the PR loop, what does it mean for me?
Well, what it means for you is that so the way that the website is set up, you'll see there's industry loops and there's geographic loops. So there's no limit to how many loops you can be a member of. But if you are, say, for example, an agency located in California, you'll be in the California loop. And let's say as part of your client portfolio, you've got clients that are in, say, food and beverage. Now, your food and beverage client in LA wants to open a restaurant in New York, and that's a completely different market that you are familiar with. You'll join the New York loop and you'll join the food and beverage loop. And now you want to host an event there, or you want to get media or journalists or influencers to come to that restaurant. You can use the activity feed, a bit like your Facebook feed, to comment and to connect with other members of those loops to collaborate. So what we've done with the PR loop is we've taken the best bits of platforms like LinkedIn, Facebook, Facecam, Twitter, Instagram, and we've taken all those little bits that are relevant to our industry section. We've created this one-stop shop platform that allows everyone to connect with each other.
And I also just want to jump in. One of the very big differentiators for us is also the ability to help journalists. So as you probably can understand, the journalist ecosystem right now is very much changing due to COVID-19 and some of the other economic factors that's going on in the United States. You have a lot of newsrooms that are changing. You've got a lot of people who are going to freelance or moving to other pubs, things like that. And also having to take on different beats that they're not necessarily, experts in yet. So this allows our journos, and our platform is 100% free forever for journalists, that they can plug into one of the loops and start to source experts to help them with the new beats that they might be required to write for that they hadn't been able to do before. So that's definitely a huge benefit for our industry.
Awesome. So how's the response been so far? I'm assuming the PR industry must have been, wowed by this new innovation.
Yeah, really good. I mean, we're still in the early stages of it. So what we were planning on doing was doing our big launch in March. And then we thought, oh, no, we better wait because the world is changed. So we've paused on that. But what it did was it allowed us a really good opportunity to do a great beta trial. So we have gone out to, or as Americans would say, beta trial. What it did was it allowed us to go to a variety of different PR professionals scattered throughout the US based on personal and industry connections, and give them an opportunity to trial the software and make revisions to the platform as we needed. Our plan is post-election to spread that net wider and to go after specific state-by-state areas so that we can grow organically within those regions and then expand. So we've got, through our research, information on where the majority of the agencies and PR professionals are located all over the US, and we're going to be very targeted and very specific to go to those markets and then grow. And then our outcome is we're hoping word of mouth will sell it for us. We're not ignorant to the fact that it also takes a lot of hard work to grow.
Yeah, it does. Of course, it does take a lot of hard work to grow, and I'm sure it'll grow as well with the kind of effort that both of you are putting in. The next question is about journalists. While I understand that the PR industry would welcome this app, right, because it makes their life easier, how has the reaction been on the journalist end? Because they already have a lot of loops going in. Yeah, they have emails, they have phone calls, and we frequently see them go to Twitter and talk about the PR pitches that are being made. So how are they looking at this app, and have they welcomed it?
Yeah, Dionne, I think maybe this would be a great time for you to talk about Story Match.
Yeah. So first of all, the only media, we've reached out to a number of different trade media in the US, all who are very positively responding to it and jumping in the loop, or hashtag jump in the loop. We're getting good uptake from them. But again, we haven't proactively gone out to our journalists beyond our own little network of contacts in the US. But what we have decided to do as part of the PR Loop is provide free and unlimited access to Story Match. So the PR Loop is not yet an app; it's a desktop platform and it's a SaaS software. What Story Match is an app. So it's available on Android and iOS, and it's free to download. And for all PR Loop members, it's free and unlimited access. Think of the Story Match as like Tinder for the media industry. So it's a two-sided marketplace that requires and relies on brands and journalists to connect. So, so we've got, in Australia, we did a trial with it in Australia. We've had about 500 brands and about equal number of journalists use the platform, which in respect to population size in the US and even in India and many other markets, that must seem really small, but actually that is in abundance in the Australian market. So uptake was really high. What Story Match does is it connects these two very important target audiences through good storytelling. So where we've got journalists and they set up their profile on Story Match, they choose exactly what industries they're interested in. So say they're a sports writer, they'll list that they've mentioned they're interested in sport. And if you've got a brand that is sport related, when you post up your pitch and you tag sports, they will see that story pitch. And if they swipe right, they will connect in a private chat with the person who has posted the story, and they can then coordinate editorial content. So you asked before about being like another platform. Journalists are kind of getting inundated with information. They absolutely are, but they're getting inundated with a lot of the wrong information. So they might be on a database and a PR person has sent them a release or a pitch that's just another one of the emails that gets unread. This is eliminating all of that. So the intention and the idea is that they will use and need to use the PR Loop for information gathering and connecting, and Story Match for receiving pitches that will only come to them if they've preference that they're interested in those industries. So we've done a partnership with the PR Loop to launch the Story Match platform and app into the US market. And I still have uptake of it in Australia, but really my sights and goals are set on the US market. And it's an absolute privilege for me to be able to give this at free of charge to the PR Loop members, because it's the same target audience that we're going after.
But, they seamlessly fit into each other, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So will we at some point see Story Match and PR Loop, being jointly presented to anybody who takes a subscription?
Mm-hmm.
That's exactly. Yeah.
Yep. That's exactly it. And also on the Story Match platform, while we definitely have all countries have databases and media databases and things like that. But it's very hard for freelance journalists to tap in those media databases, because oftentimes a freelance journalist will be writing for multiple publications in the United States. And so this is an amazing platform for freelance journalists to be able to source really great articles, pitches, ideas that we wouldn't normally be able to get to them, and they wouldn't be able to get to us. So it's really, I think, going to be very instrumental for the journalists.
And I can say that, and I'm sure you would all agree, you probably get 200 in excess of emails per day.
So many.
You get much more than that, and the majority of that is irrelevant to their need or their interest. So, I always joke that my personal happiness is in direct proportion to the number of unread emails that I have in my inbox. So if anyone else is like that, which I know there are, that pressure to reply and to not get overwhelmed. If we can eliminate that, then we're doing a good job. And if they can still refine their process and actually systemize, and what we've done with the PR Loop is it is very personalized and systemized. So if you're only going to see information in your activity feed based on the loops that you are members of, and if you don't like what you see, you can jump out of that loop and you can jump into a new loop. And Yeah, so that we're trying to solve all the pain points of what people in our industry experience, which is overload of information and sometimes misinformation.
Yeah.
I love the visual imagery that, these words create, and I can't wait to jump into the loop. Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you. Well, we try. I mean, we are in PR, so we had to make sure that we put as much time into the branding and to our messaging and making this an attractive platform, because we did build it from the ground up for this profession. So we wanted to make sure that PR pros and journalists knew that this was built from the ground up for them.
Yes.
We definitely are a little selfish because we built it out of our own pain points as well.
Yeah.
So definitely.
But also, having said that, the PR loop is not just for people like Diane and I who own agencies of 15 years and have teams of people that work with us. It's for the individuals, the one-man band, the freelancers, the in-house PR departments. It can be used for anyone and everyone, because essentially our job, we all experience, no matter what level you're at or what type of environment you're in or what industry you're in, we're all experiencing the same sort of challenges. So we wanted to overcome those.
It's interesting that you mentioned that, because I believe this will change the dynamics between that eternal triangle that we all are in, between the media and us. Right? How do you see that changing when you invite brands and clients also to be a part of this?
Yeah. Go ahead, Diane.
Yeah. So the PR Loop is a fully vetted membership platform. So it's not available for everyone. We actually require our potential customers to go through an application process, and a lot of research goes into those specific people who have applied to make sure that they are going to be the right fit for the PR Loop and provide input for the customers who are existing, for the paying customers, So the vetting process is the most important process. And in doing so, we look at, we do reference checks, we check their LinkedIn profile, we do far more research behind the scenes just to make sure that they are validated. And what that does is that it allows us to just really have quality people in the platform, as opposed to just someone who just wants to join for the sake of it.
That's a lot of work.
It's a very important step. We have a lot of integrity in the platform that we've built, and we want the PR Loop to be the bee's knees of platforms that members use.
So where is it available now geographically, and what are your future plans for this?
Good question. So we decided to target on the US audience initially, with my being based here in the US. So it is available nationally in the US. The loops that we have decided to activate initially are in the top 20 markets of the United States. So the top 20 media markets, the DMAs is what we call them here. So we have a loop for each one of those target areas around the US. We certainly do see this as being a platform that will scale to other countries and to other markets. But we're definitely trying it in the US first. The most recent count, we have a very healthy target audience here in the United States of PR professionals. And so we're gonna launch it here, and we're gonna go strong, and then we'll look for partners in other parts of the world to take the platform.
To reiterate as well, despite me being located in Australia, the intention was never and still is not to bring the PR Loop to Australia. Even though I can see it working here, our market's just really, really small, and I think that there's greater opportunity in other markets that have bigger populations and more agencies and more PR professionals.
Yeah. And when are you looping us in India?
Well, I would say that you're at the top of our list. If you would be interested. Yeah. The beauty of it is once we have the platform actually designed and coded and optimized, translating that through technology is actually not a very difficult process. And we did, not going into the tech geek side of this, which has kind of been my baby for a little while, we did build it from the very beginning with the hopes of optimizing it for different countries and different languages easily.
Right. Yeah. So we can't wait for it now. I mean, really excited. I do hope it comes in sooner rather than later. And testing goes off really, really well. So
I think Diane and I would turn that on now if we could, but we need to nail what we started first before we can go wider. Yeah.
I'm going to dial it back a bit and go back to your origin story, right?
Yeah.
Was based on individual need that you guys decided to start this, but how this collaborate, across continents to be able to start this new venture?
Wow. Oh, wow. It's been quite a year.
Yeah. I think that we have the fortunate opportunity of time differences that actually work really well. So it's always been my early morning and Diane's afternoon that we've spoken. And then if things come up in my day, it's still early evening. So I've still got like half of my work day that we can connect. I'd say our best platform is WhatsApp. And
we love it.
Yeah, we're not afraid to have a quick phone call. I call, like, there's never do you have 5 minutes? I need to call you. I just call, and same with Diane. We have not had challenges of availability or commitment and dedication to this. We absolutely are very much in sync in making sure that this works, and we've put in a lot of time. We are both also hugely respectful of the fact that we also have agencies to run, and with that comes, that's your full-time job. This has been our side hustle that has consumed a lot of our time, but is, has the potential to take over, the 40 hours a week that we might otherwise be working on other things. So I certainly know I thrive when I've got many, many balls in the air. I think Diane's the same, and that's probably why we connected when we met. We were like, let's do this. Okay.
I'm so glad you asked that question, because I have to say one of the things that I am most proud of, well, I'm proud of a lot of things, but I'm really proud of having a female partnership with somebody that is in a totally different country, working a global environment. Frankly, Diane and I had not known each other for very long before we hatched this idea at, the PRBI conference. And then we were to go getting women who just decided, you know what, we're going to do it. Yeah. And we're doing it. And I'm so proud of the women-owned business, crossing borders and making it happen story, and friendship that's really developed. It's been really great.
Yeah, and what it has allowed us to do is have very deep and honest chats about our business in general, because what I love about this is actually having a business partner. It's the first time in 15 years that I've had a business partner that I can bounce things off. Otherwise, I've been a lone island, and I'm truly grateful for having met Diane for that, and also the fact that she's got such incredible talent. She's a designer, she's a writer, she's a PR professional, she's like everything.
Well, and we want to bring that spirit, what we found and what we've cultivated and what we've collaborated right there is the PR loop. Anybody can get on the loop and discover that and build that and create that with a like-minded PR or journalist or professional. And we sincerely hope that multiple businesses are developed outside of the PR loop from people connecting in the PR loop. That would be an amazing, thing for us to celebrate by bringing PR pros together.
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, it sounds wonderful, and we can't wait for it to come into, our part of the world as well. We'll wait for that. So, last question before we end off. Any other interesting innovations that have caught your eye this year?
Oh boy!
It has kind of forced a lot of us to simply innovate in our own businesses, in the way we function, the way we interact. What have been some of the other innovations that have caught your eye?
That's a good question. Gosh, the U.S. is so big. And I think that we're seeing, while it's not necessarily an innovation yet, I think you're going to see an innovation out of it. We're seeing a lot of merging of technology companies into single platforms. So, meltwater incision or, some of those things. I'm not exactly too sure the innovation has happened yet, but I definitely think that there is innovation coming. I'm noticing, at least on my side in the United States here, I'm noticing a little bit of less dependency on some of the social media sites. So what's going to be the innovation that comes out of that? So I'm watching, I know I'm personally watching that very closely, but I don't know if I've necessarily seen it quite yet. But I do think Story Match is actually something that's pretty innovative. I might be biased.
That this lockdown and reshaping of the business world is actually going to give rise to a lot of innovation and a lot of new business models that are going to come out of this. So there'll be the inventions, there'll be the innovations, and there'll be a different business models that will come out of it. And what we've certainly seen with our client base is the clients that have thrived in this are those in the tech industries. They're safe, they're safe, they're uncompromised, they're untouched, and they can only thrive. So we've certainly, I agree with Diane in that we're kind of like at the tip of seeing this innovation grow and like on the precipice of success, but we haven't seen it yet. And actually it's really exciting because some of the best businesses are built out of problems and roadblocks, and there's never been a bigger roadblock than what's happened in the world in the last 6 months. So
okay, so parting shots, your vision for the PR industry in the coming years.
So, interestingly, I think that the usage of technology is going to be obviously very important in how we adapt that. But I actually see a little bit of a return to creativity and to imagination and to things that are intangible soft skills that technology actually can't solve. And so I'm seeing a lot more of that than just, send out a press release or work with an influencer or whatever. I like to think that we're going to go back a couple of steps to that, appreciating, compensating for the imagination and the creativity before you start with the distribution mechanisms.
Yeah. So I think that what the PR loop is built on is exactly what we see as the future of success, is built on camaraderie and assisting one another in doing your job and doing it really well. So as journalists are moving from media outlet to media outlet because their publication has changed or closed and they're now freelance, they're really going to rely on the relationships that they have with the storytellers, which are the PR professionals. Another thing is looking at what is considered to be earned media. It's actually no longer considered to be just, column inches in a magazine or a newspaper. And whilst print still and very much will always have its place, PR results and earned media and eyeballs and viewership and listenership comes in a myriad of different ways now. And I think that it's our job as professionals to educate our clients that that's what success actually now looks like, that it's not just what I used to call like thud value, when you're like, here's Vogue, you're in it. Here's Marie Claire, you're in it. Here's paper, you're in it, and it is a tangible. I think that it's also about, just various creative ways to spread your clients' messages.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I mean, that's very insightful, and thank you for sharing that with us today on this episode. So we've run out of time, so I'm going to wind up here. So thank you so much for joining us for this episode for All About PR.
Thanks, Taryn.
Thank you. So we'll see you next time for another episode of All About PR very soon. Thank you for joining us today, and we will see you next Saturday for another interesting conversation on PR and communication on All About PR.